All right. 3 o'clock. Hello. Hello. Representative Hunchowski is being interviewed. Can we all please take our seat? We are about to start. Can we please take our seats? Our seats, we are about to start. 3 o'clock, not 1 minute more, not 1 minute less. All right. We want to go home. We've been here since 9 o'clock this morning, 9:30. All right. But Barterman, we're giving you a few more minutes, a few more seconds. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. All right, that's a lot better. Thank you for being here this afternoon. My name is Marie Woodson, and I proudly represent House District 105, which is South Broward County, parts of Hollywood, Pembroke Pines, Miramar, Hallandale, West Park, and Pembroke Park. We are so pleased to have the Broward League of Cities here with us this afternoon. Yes, yes, yes. So we are going to go to a formal introduction first, and then we would go to the league as well. It's good to see Madam Mayor from West Park. I see so many of my good people here, and I don't want to leave anybody out, but we will get to that. So thank you for being here. Let's start with our Broward delegation. We're going to go to an introduction, and then the league will take over, Madam President, and then we'll start with our remarks. Go ahead, Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you, Representative Woodson, and good afternoon to the League of Cities. I am Dr. Rosalind Osgood, the Senator for Senate District 32, which is Oakland Park, North Lauderdale, Fort Lauderdale, Lauderhill, Lauderdale Lakes, Sunrise, Plantation, and Tamarack. And I am also a former staff person of the Broward League of Cities in the year of 2000. And I see Mayor Susan Starkey, who was just elected in 2001. I'm speaking intentionally. Still with the Broward League of Cities, but I am indebted to the League of Cities because it is there where I got a lot of my local government training with workshops. And then last year I had the honor of winning the Florida League of Cities Legislative Hero Award. So thank you to the League of Cities, and I'm so glad to be here in this meeting with you today.
Rep. Campbell.
Good afternoon. My name is Daryl Campbell, representative of District 99. I have the honor and privilege to represent the areas of Fort Lauderdale, Lauderdale Lakes, Lauderhill, Wilton Manors, and the city of Plantation. So I'm excited to be here. I'm looking forward to the conversation that we're about to have.
Representative Rosenwald.
Good afternoon, friends. Mitch Rosenwald, newly elected House Rep 498, which is Oakland Park and parts of Pompano, Deerfield, Tamarack, Lauderdale Lakes, and Fort Lauderdale. And literally, as you know, just in October, I was part of you. So it's great to see good friends, and also the leadership with Mary Lou right behind you as executive director, and really here to hear about home rule issues. I kind of know about them, but pretty fresh, but for you to talk about the home rule and other issues you have. Thank you.
Representative Hunchowski.
Hi, I'm Representative Christine Hunchowski, a proud former city commissioner, former mayor. So grateful for all of you in local government. And I promise no matter how many days or years I'm in Tallahassee, I never forget where I came from.
Representative Barterman.
Thank you. I'm Robin Bartleman. I started my career off as a Weston City Commissioner, and I represent Weston, who's in the House, Southwest Ranches is in the House, Miramar is in the House, Davie, who's in the House, and Sunrise, which I don't know if they're in the House. But I love representing each and every one of you, and I never forget where I come from. And I'm really sad I'm not on state affairs because I'm usually like the one yelling and filing the amendments for local control and home rule, but I promise I'll bite on the floor for you all. So thank you all.
Representative Cassell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. Hillary Cassell, District 101, represent portions of Fort Lauderdale, Davie, Hollywood, Hallandale, and all of Dania Beach. It's great to see you all. And just to add my own little notation, my mom was a local elected official. I know that you all do the Lord's work. It's why I swore I didn't think local government was for me, because I know just, the challenges all that you all face and the sacrifices that you make. So super appreciative for you. My cities, some of my cities are here. It's great to see all of you.
And thank you, Representative Cassell. Before I turn it over to the mayor, we're gonna finish our part. Mr. Madison, who is a former commissioner and our executive director, stand up, represent. And as well, Sydney, who is the, Sydney, introduce yourself. And before we go, I would like to acknowledge, I have to do this. We always make sure because we come in two, we don't come in one. I would like to acknowledge our district aides and legislative aides as well. They are part of our team who are with us in the district and in Tallahassee. Stand up, please, stand up, all of you. Oh, they have left. We had a lot. Come on, Tom, stand up, come on, come on. They have to know where the work come from. You'll help us to do the work that we do. So thank you, thank you. And we have a lot more people in the audience, but this is our part. I'm going to go ahead, Madam Mayor, President as well of the Broward League of Cities, Mayor Bunson. Woo! Yes,
So I guess we'll start off by doing some introductions.
right.
And then
That's
we'll come
why we
back.
want you
Okay.
to do yours, right?
So again, I am Felicia Brunson, Mayor from the beautiful city of West Park, as well as President of the Broward League of Cities. While I have the floor, I'd like to recognize Mary Lou, our Executive Director, as well as Sally. So we want to make sure we recognize them also. And then, go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Councilmember Denise Horlin from the City of Plantation and also first Vice President of the Broward League of Cities.
Thank you, thank you.
Good afternoon, Adam Reichbach. I'm the Assistant City Manager for the City of Hollywood and the President of the Broward City County Managers Association.
Adam.
Good afternoon, Neysa Herrera, CRA and Economic Development Director for the City of Oakland Park and Vice President of the Broward City Managers Association.
Good afternoon, Catherine Givens, City Manager for the City of Coral Springs, as well as Secretary for BCCMA. Thank you very much for letting us be here.
Good afternoon. I'm Susan Starkey. I'm a council member in the town of Davie. I've been serving since March of 2001 for almost 24 years, if you want to do your math. And I'm 2003 past president of the Broward League of Cities.
Hi, everyone. Tracy Clary from the great city of Hollywood, Commissioner for District 3, also Treasurer of the Broward League of Cities, past president. It's my pleasure to be here today amongst amazing individuals. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here with us for this joint delegation meeting. We really appreciate the work that every single one of you do. This is a partnership. This is a collaboration. We cannot do the work that we do in Tallahassee without every single one of you. Every single person sitting at this table have contributed to the process in one way or the other. So we are here this afternoon to hear from you, to hear your priorities, to hear your concerns, and hopefully we can work with you and meet you halfway wherever we can in order to make sure that this process in Tallahassee goes as well as you expect it to. So we look forward to this conversation. You are going to start presenting, but before we go, I would like to acknowledge one of our commissioners in the city of Hollywood, Commissioner Idelma Quintana. Would you please stand up to be acknowledged as well? Thank you. And also the city manager of West Park. Well, I have two people in this room. Let me tell you something. I have worked closest with them than even some of my elected officials. And that's city manager, I'm gonna make sure I say his name right because he's my friend, Ajibola Balogun. Would you please stand up to be acknowledged? City manager of West Park. And of course, Mr. Adam Wishbar is the Deputy City Manager of Hollywood. Let me tell you something. This man works day and night because every time I need something, I call on him. So thank you again for being here. Ken Hop. Okay, I would like to acknowledge Mr. Kenny Hop, who is the City Manager of Lauderhill. Would you please stand up to, oh, yes, would you stand up to be acknowledged as well? Great seeing you. I didn't even realize you were in the back, okay? Thank you
Yes.
for being, thank you. Any other city managers in the room?
Yes. Yeah.
Two,
Don Decker from the city of Weston, and I have
Okay.
our brand new city manager, Russell Munoz from the town of Southwest Ranches.
okay. And like I said, I would like to take a,
We got some more city manager.
oh, City of Manager, Deputy City Manager of Miramar. Thank you so much for being here. Some of you are hiding. I can't even see you. Go ahead, ma'am. Go. Thank you for being here as well. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being here.
We have a commissioner from Southwest Ranches.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Commissioner Albritton.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate you all. And I see also a lot of the lobbyists as well in the room. We work very close with them in Tallahassee. Would you please stand up to be acknowledged? Pembroke Park, come on. Let's stand up to be acknowledged. We work very close with all of you all. Thank you, Dave, for what you all do.
Marie,
How many more do you have? I'm just kidding. I'm just.
Jim Albritton,
messing.
he's an elected official. He's a town councilman for the town of Southwest Ranches.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for being here. Anybody else? We don't want to leave anybody out. Okay, we got everybody, right? All right. And officer, thank you for being here. Thank you for keeping us safe. Thank you, sir. Thank you for keeping us safe. We appreciate you. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. See, that's why you don't get, thank you. Let's give our officers a hand.
He also works in the city of Weston sometimes.
Okay, how many more do you have, Bartleman? No. I'm just kidding. All right, so we know we had a long day and we have to keep the laughter going. We have to have a good sense of humor in the work that we do. And if you need to stay awake, please get some cookies, get some goodies. Those were baked by our children, actually, the school system, right? The Broward County school system. So please have some cookies, have some whatever we have back there left. I'm not sure, but get something so you can stay awake. As you can see, we're all trying to keep our sense of humor, to laugh in order for us to make it through the day. So thank you again for your patience. We appreciate you being here. So Madam Mayor, without any further ado, Madam President, Madam Mayor, the floor is yours and we'll come back.
Thank you. At this time, we'd like to extend our sincerest gratitude to all of you, the members of the delegation, the Broward delegation, as well as the Broward County City Managers Association for joining with us here today. To our legislators, your dedicated work in Tallahassee is vital. We know what you're fighting and what you are up against. And so we are very deeply appreciative of your tireless efforts, even when the challenges are great. We feel it for you. And to our city administrators, thank you for your daily efforts in ensuring that our cities are operating and thriving. And we also understand and we know your challenges are great. So at this time, I'm going to continue and then I'll come back to you, Adam. Okay. So our 2025 legislative agenda is evolving, but there are some key issues that are impacting our cities that in working in partnership with the Florida League of Cities, we are actively addressing. The full agenda is outlined and accessible. We do have a QR code on here. Techie. So, you can find them there, but I will read them for your hearing. We would like to focus on 3 critical issues: sovereign immunity, property taxes, local business taxes. In terms of sovereign immunity, we support preserving reasonable sovereign immunity liability caps for municipal governments to protect taxpayer funds and ensure delivery of public services. With regard to property taxes, we support the levy of property taxes by municipalities to provide critical services such as infrastructure, police, fire, and emergency services. Further, changes or exemptions to the property tax system and tangible property taxes would create inequities and unfairly shift the tax burden onto families, homeowners, renters, businesses, and all of our vulnerable populations. The local business taxes should be preserved as they offer municipalities the ability to collect local business taxes in order to foster economic growth, ensure public safety, deliver emergency services, and drive the community development. Having provided this framework for discussion, I would like to now ask my colleague, Adam, to weigh in on some thoughts.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you again for allowing us to be here today. I will tell you that on behalf of BCCMA, we stand in lockstep with the Broward League of Cities on these critical issues. Obviously, there's a few city managers that are sitting here behind us, but there's a lot that are watching from their offices right now. And we are certainly very concerned about several of these issues, specifically as regards to sovereign immunity and the impact that that would have on our budgets and our financial situation, and then with property taxes. We certainly understand and support, if there's a desire for a study to be conducted to determine how best to structure revenue sources moving forward. However, certainly House Bill 35735 and House HJR 359 are a very big concern to us because of the impact that that would have with the $100,000 exemption on each of our properties. Just for the sake of Hollywood, and I'm sure every other city will have very similar situations, the impact to us would be roughly $40 million to our revenues. That, of course, would be a direct impact to our emergency and public safety. 60% of Hollywood's budget is in public safety. And so ultimately, any cut of $40 million would have a significant impact on our ability to provide services to our residents. And in regards to local business tax receipt, the proposed bill in which would freeze the local business tax receipt, certainly as our expenses continue to increase and provide those types of services that we utilize to ensure proper zoning and business regulation, any freezing of that would provide an inability for us to continue to provide to conduct those services. Madam President, if you would like, certainly I know I have other members of my board here that may like my weigh in, or how you would like to move forward. No? Okay, I guess we're good then. Okay. Turn it over to you.
So I think you understand our priorities. And as you see, Adam is discussing a larger city. Well, imagine a smaller city like West Park. So there's an old saying, if you get the flu, we're getting pneumonia. Or we're getting COVID. I hate to put it that way, but literally. So those are the priorities that we have. And now we'll open it up for discussion. Yes.
Madam President, I'd like to weigh in on sovereign immunity a little bit. You've heard this come back over the last couple of years, and you may know that HB 301 passed out of subcommittee this week. And I've had a discussion over the last couple of years with several of you about it, including a member of your own delegation who feels that the limit should go higher. So what I want to, pose to you is I'll give you the City of Plantation's scenario. We are self-insured. And the City of Plantation currently has $6 million put aside in reserves to pay claims. We have 30 claims that are pre-suit right now and 12 that are possibly going to either mediation or going to court. So if the sovereign immunity, and just to recap, right now they're at $200,000 per individual and $300,000 per incident. The proposal as it stands right now is $1 million and $3 million. So if you can imagine, 2 suits at the 3 million would wipe out those reserves that we have set aside. So what I'm asking, and the president has laid out some of our chief concerns when it's coming for the revenue of the cities. So we are potentially losing revenue when we're looking at obviously the business sales tax and the ad valorem taxes. But when you're looking at the sovereign immunity, those costs are going to go up. We don't know how the insurance market is going to handle that, but ultimately, it's going to be passed on to our residents, to your constituents. So while many in the delegation are concerned about those individual limits, and they're looking at how can we best serve an individual who has been harmed in a municipal accident, we are asking you to look at how it would affect your cities and how it would affect the budgets. The other thing that we're asking today is, how can we help you? What information can we provide to you that will best help you when you see these bills come before you? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this presentation. As you know, we love to hear from you. And this is how we can be better equipped to go back to Tallahassee and advocate on your behalf. As you know, we are not like, we don't have the same number of votes on each side, okay? We are like 33 now and 87. So it's good for you to talk to both sides, actually. It's very important for you to talk to both sides of the legislature and advocate in order for us to get to where we need to be. We know this is a major issue. So by you educating us more, especially when you see those, sometimes those bill drops like the night before. So if we don't keep the communication going, this is just a meeting. What I would advise you after this meeting, start scheduling meeting with each and every single one of us. Because some of the questions we might not even get the answer that we're looking for in the room. But if we sit down and start talking to you more about those issues, then we would have a better understanding and we would be able to advocate better, to work on your behalf when we are in Tallahassee. When we're in Tallahassee, it's grueling. I would call it grueling because the way the process is, because the night before we might get so many bills and we have to debate on those bills. We have to, really make our points in order for us to see if we can get the result that we want to. So please, let's stay engaged. And I know I have spoken to every single one of you, especially in Tallahassee. We talk, we communicate. So we really need to keep that just going, especially what you're telling us now. And most of all those cities, each of us represent either 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of them. So if we don't talk, we don't communicate, then we're not going to get the result that we need. So start making your appointments now before we even go back. We're going back next week. Some of us going back this week, actually, since Thursday. So I would advise you, call our staff, set those appointments now, give us the information that we need so we can go ready in those committees to advocate on your behalf. And I would like, before I even go to any questions, 1 second, we're bottoming, I saw your hand, you would be the first one. I would like to acknowledge Mayor Joy Cooper from the city of Hollywood, since we have acknowledged from the city of Hallandale. Well, I'm putting you in Hollywood. Well, Hollywood is my city also. It's my city of residence. And I do represent Hallandale as well. So Mayor Joy Cooper, you just want to introduce yourself real quick.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for the hard work that you're doing on behalf of the cities, the counties up there in the state. Obviously, I'm Mayor Joy Cooper in City of Hallandale Beach, past president of Broward League of Cities, and look forward to continuing to work collaboratively with everyone to protect and preserve home rule and protect spaces.
Thank you. Thank you for being here as well. Representative Boderman.
I have a question for the cities, pretty much on the property taxes, because I do know that even the governor wants to get rid of them. I think what would help me the most is the information like you just gave about the Hollywood breakdown and the percentage that actually goes into first responders. I would also say that when there are bills regarding property taxes, and I ask the unions out there, you have huge lobby with the fire and the police. They really need to start crossing the line and getting them involved in advocating to ensure there's appropriate funding, because their salaries, their pensions, their trucks, their safety, all depends on you being able to write that check. And if you're getting rid of all property taxes, that you're not going to be able to. So somehow all the groups have to start working together, because I think the wave of the future, from what I'm hearing, and I talked to some Republicans as well, they're like, oh, we don't want property taxes. So it scares the heck out of me because then I'm not sure how that looks. But can you please just give us all for each city so we're ready? And because I've heard discussions with groups and I want to be able to have that like on my phone and be able to just put it out there and go, look, you get rid of this. This is what's happening, and get the other groups involved because they should be advocating as well. Thank you.
Good.
Oh, so if I could, and we're going to work with the Broward League of Cities on this. On behalf of BCCMA, we were going to put a survey out to all of our cities, all 31 of our cities, and gather this information specifically as I believe it relates to, I think, sovereign immunity and the property tax bill, like I mentioned, in regards to what the impact would be to Hollywood. I think we can be able to provide that impact amongst all 31 cities. And then, of course, what percentage of, because all of our general fund budget, police and fire come out of our general fund budget, and this would have a direct impact as all of our cities' property taxes is the largest revenue source from our city. So ultimately, there will be a large impact to public safety with regards to these property tax measures. So we can certainly solicit that information from each city, working with the League of Cities to get that information to you ahead of time.
And you said 60%, right, of your budget of Hollywood's?
60% of Hollywood,
60.
60% of Hollywood's general fund budget, and I think that number is probably pretty uniform throughout, is public safety,
Whoa.
and
All
that's
right.
police and fire.
So we are going to continue this conversation, not at this meeting, because it will take us all day, right?
Yes, we will get that information to
Right.
each of you so that you can fight for us up in
Good,
Tallahassee on this
good,
issue.
good. Thank you. Thank you so much. Madam Vice Chair, you have one too?
Thank you. And I'm not sure how the league is structured
Mitch?
at this time, but the league used to be a major force to be reckoned with around these kind of issues. Getting that information, the sooner the better, and sending it to every member in the Senate. Because when we vote on everything, every member in the House with the specific breakdown. And I know the City County Managers Association does a very, very good job with that. I kind of thought I would have that job in my younger days, but I realized that I speak my mind too much. They would fire me every year. You talked about the sovereign immunity. And I think that we have some examples as you're having this conversation of things that have happened in this county that gives a good basis for your argument, especially sometimes when the incident involves more than one person and they don't always agree of how it turns out. So I think as we talk about it and we talk about, these kinds of things as we've seen them in other areas, I think it kind of helps us make the argument in a way that it's not that we don't care about people or we don't want to be liable. It's kind of a delicate balance. When somebody is harmed or wrong, they have a right to sue. But on the other hand, as a citizen, I need to know how that literally plays out on the ground. And I think oftentimes that's what's missing. I remember being a part of a group and we had one policy and many, many people were harmed. And we kind of decided to find a whole nother pot of money on our own to pay something, not enough, nearly not enough for what had happened, but it was our gesture or act of kindness. So I think that that's important. So I'm going to ask, and this is my last question, because I struggle every legislative session. And I'm probably not the only one. I get massive requests for funding for water issues. And I just keep saying to myself, I would love to have something. The cities are contiguous in the way that we've done annexation. Now they kind of overlap. Is there an opportunity for the league to consider getting all 31 cities together in the county to see the water issues that are germane across the county, where we don't have to, we get into appropriations as at some point it gets hot. It's only a pot of money. You got to pick and choose and this and that. But if we can talk about it from a perspective where we're talking about it regionally, for me, I think that gives me more strength, because sometimes I can't justify why this city needs $1 million for a project and this city has the same project. It looks similar to me. I'm not Public Works, but they only need 7 million. So it's those kinds of things that would be helpful. The more things we can talk about funding in a way that builds the relationships with the cities, because if water in one city flows to another city, I'm thinking about, it kind of all comes together at some point. So I don't know, I'm just looking for a way to make a stronger case. And right now, as your senator, I'm divided with the cities, I don't have a favorite city. Of course, I'm too smart to say that, right? But I have to work for all of you. And sometimes I feel like I have to pick and choose and it's not where I want to be.
Point taken.
All right. Representative Rosenwald.
Thank you, Chair. Just following, excuse my voice, just following up on Rep. Bartleman with the idea of safety. Let us know how you're using, how property taxes help with safety dollars. I just thought of two other perhaps ideas for you to think about for these buckets. In speaking with the speaker and my initial read of the House, I think what you all do with property taxes in terms of small business development. I know NASA, of course, who is our CRA and Economic Development Director for the City of Oakland Park. And also, if any of you, this might be less of an impact, but if any of you are doing anything to promote home ownership in your cities with any, home ownership, whatever programs, but certainly you're all doing economic development. So I would just add, aside from the safety dollars, I think, I know home ownership is important to the speaker. And I think economic development is important to all of us. So I think those might be 3 buckets that there would hopefully be some good bipartisan support for in terms of property tax allocation. So thank you, Chair.
Any other questions?
Yeah, first I want to address a couple things real quickly. When you send out your survey to the cities, we've given information of last year before and previous years on sovereign immunity, but don't forget debt service. Because if it's tied to debt service, that's a recurring amount that we're going to have to, and obligated to pay back. So we need to know what other cities' debt service is in relation to that. So please include that as well. Now I want to address the water issue. I've been serving for a number of years on the Broward County Water Advisory Board. We do have, and I know also the Commissioner, I'm out of it. Excuse me. Plantation, Denise. I was going to say Denise, but I wanted to be more respectful. Is also on our board. And we have seats from the League of Cities, and we have seats from the South Florida Water Management District, and we have seats on there from another, the tech advisories from the utilities and so forth. We tackle most of those big issues for regional water supply, as well as our stormwater improvements that can go on throughout the county. And a lot of times we've also talked about working with the county on leveraging the monies that can be brought by county and by state and by the federal government in order to make these improvements throughout. So it's also important for you to work with the county as this, and many of our policies that are taken on water issues often gets, vetted through this committee of so many years that we've done. So I think it's important when water issues, and we talk about regional, we talk about the county as well and bring them into the fold for this. And I would like to see someday, we tried, an actual agenda of some major projects that we could have within the county to address the top priorities of stormwater or some of the regional supplies of future water and reuse. And so when we look at those issues, I think that if you address it at the county level and the cities and the legislation from Broward, you leverage all of that, I think we have a good chance in finally getting things done. We did that with the port. The other thing I wanted to say is I'll skip on that because I think we'll have, the other thing I wanted to bring up, and it's something new. Everybody probably, saw the governor's recent news last night about having his own Doge. We have an Office of Inspector Generals both here at the county and at the state level. And in my regard, isn't that the office that's supposed to be looking into waste, fraud, and abuse? So I am all for finding, even in my own city, if it's all possible, which I don't think, but because I know we're run really good. But if it's possible to have waste, fraud, and abuse, I want to know it, just as many of the other cities in our county would want to know, and state as well. So I think it's going to be more important, rather than creating a new, it might be something we all work on, whether creating a new Doge committee, maybe it's something that should be part of the Office of Inspector General, who's supposed to be doing that anyway. So that's just my 2 cents on that. And I would like to see, maybe this is something that we should be looking at as our agenda going forward, not just our Florida League of Cities agenda, but that one as well.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Commissioner Starkey. You mentioned the Broward County Water Advisory Board and all the great work you do. Who gets the results of that? How, for me, what I'm trying to do is how do I take that work and tie it to an appropriation? So if you're doing that work and I'm trying to get money for you in the city, I don't have that information to help me state the case of why I'm asking for this. My comments were strictly focused on, I'm a process person, you know, and I'm always evaluating myself to try to be more effective. So when I have 7 or 8 water projects, from my eye, I'm not Public Works, and listening in the brief explanation that I get, they seem to be similar. So when I'm talking about funding them, what we run into is sometimes we'll get told it was vetoed because there was a federal grant or a state grant that a city could apply for, in this whole mindset that us public administrators are lazy, so we didn't apply for the grant. So I'm just trying to get groups like that. We have the South Florida Water Management District, but I don't see that tied to the request that I'm getting to ask for the appropriations. That's what I'm trying to accomplish.
I can give you the political answer, but I can also give you the regional answer.
Now,
which
you know,
is
I
the
deal with
government
truth.
answer.
I ain't into,
Yeah,
it's
and-
a lot of crazy people on both sides in politics, so I'm
You-
trying
you
to
know
deal
that.
with truth.
You know that. And as a political representative, as we all are here, most of us up here, we have to answer to our constituents, and we realize that. So a lot of times we will have to give those bills to them, and that's the honest truth. But we also should be looking at this and supporting regional issues. It may be across the border line, but what's being done in Sunrise or what's being done in Davie could actually benefit
Right.
Plantation
Right.
in a regional water supply. As you know, we have saltwater intrusion. I'm not going to get into the whole big deal, but a lot of those wells are going to have so much salt water in those wells that it's going to be very difficult in the future if we don't start addressing some of these things. So as a region, I have to wear that hat too, and making sure that we address those things at a regional. And this is something I think as a Broward delegation, that's where you put your regional hat on and work with the county and work with our cities on something like that, because it is going to be future. There's only a finite amount of water available for drinking in the future to begin with. So we have to look at ways to contain it, store it, and then reuse it.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's the same pot of money as well. Yeah, which is kind of limited right now. Do we have any other questions?
Yes, or
Okay.
just a statement, if
Go
you
ahead.
don't mind. So, you know, we bring to you what we support, and we know I can look around the room and there's 4 numbers that I have in my phone that I can text if there's an issue, and reach out immediately, and the other 3 I know are accessible. But which was spoken is to reach across the island, work with those who are not familiar with us. And that always is a challenge, as we all know. And I think that this meeting is so that you can hear us as well as we can hear your challenges and come up with a way, so we're not working silos. As far as the sovereign immunity goes, I know many of us have gone up to Tallahassee year after year after year. This topic continually is coming up. I've been told as well, I think it was Commissioner Horland stated that someone was a proponent for it. It's finding that common ground, and I think that that is key. There is, you know, economic drives and cost of living and so on and so forth. And this has stayed, as we've been told, where it's been for years. So there is movement. I remember last year we got very close to some type of an agreement. I would just ask, as you all are walking the halls and meeting with your colleagues from both sides, find that middle ground that's not going to be so impactful to the cities. We understand. And we know it's challenging and we know there's going to be an increase, but it has to be something that we can handle, not where 1 million and 3 million. That's our ask. As far as, earlier I came early and I'm kind of grateful that I came into the meeting early when Sheriff Tony was speaking about the demands and needs. The county has grown so much and the police force has remained the same. Well, Hollywood, Hallandale, Davie, our growth has not exceeded. We're stuck at a 300 police officer, maybe 311. We haven't grown, but our city's grown substantially. And our fire department is strapped. Our police department is strapped. Do you want to talk about nursing world? It's strapped. So when you ask and you hear that they're going to ask for additional funding or they want additional funding, and then, but we're going to cut on the other end, I think that it's really important that you all take our messages back with you as well. And we'll do our part, but we need you to do your part and stress. Listen, there's a lot of factors that are affecting our municipalities. And we're just basically staying above water and we're not even able to address our communities the best that we can with safety, with healthcare, with all of these important factors. And then the last thing I just wanted to add is the last couple of years, we've had $25,000 tax credit for seniors, then 50,000. So those impacts alone, I think last year, City of Hollywood's seniors it was a $25,000 tax break or 50,000, and it affected our city coffers of over 2.5 million, if I'm not mistaken. So in addition to that 2.5 million that we're now trying to catch up with, if we do this additional tax rate, it's really just going to be pretty devastating to our municipalities. And so I don't know, I guess we're looking to you all so that we're all on the same page and that this is the voice that we can push to our representatives that are going to be making these decisions. We're going to be up there on the 10th, the City of Hollywood. I know other cities are going to be there. We're going to be there for legislative days and we'll be there for Broward Days. So you're going to see this beautiful face up there 3 weeks in a row. But I don't want to see all of you, but I want to go to the people who are making those decisions and get that voice heard. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. And before we go, I would like to say to you, in regard to meeting with people from both aisles, we know it's 120 of us, then 40 senators. So that's 160 people. It's nearly impossible for you to meet with everyone. But what I would suggest, if you have a bill or you have an appropriation that you know from your city, or the bill's going to impact Broward County as a whole or your city, what I would recommend is for you to look at the committees that those bills are going to and try to meet with those members. So that would be my recommendation because it's impossible for you to meet 160 people. So you can look for the committees, and if you need help, we would even tell you who they are and contact their office.
To Dr. Osgood's push as far as something that we collaboratively can work on, it's the greater good of all, right, for Broward County. And I think septic to sewer is a really huge ask. And instead of working silo, we need to work as a county to address this for the betterment of all.
Good. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Kalari. Mayor Cooper. Mayor Cooper.
Perfect tie-in. I was going to, first of all, globally about the tax base and being around for 24 years and hearing the assault on our main revenue. Everybody needs to remember it's capped at 10%. It's capped. So we have a cap on property taxes, period. And we have to mold our budgets within those parameters. And an example, a city like Hallandale Beach, to survive bankruptcy, and thank God for ARPA, we went up to 8.2 to make ends meet so we could stay solvent. So when you're having these conversations about property tax, whoa, we already have a cap. We have to work within those parameters. And that's the message that I would share. Water, globally with the issues with water. It's kind of difficult, you're asked, because a city like Hallandale Beach, we have our own water plant. But tied to what my colleague from Hollywood shared, that's a global issue because we, for wastewater, have a shared use agreement with Hollywood in that plant. So when they're asking for that capacity, I'm going to support it because that capacity is going to impact us economically. If we don't have capacity for water, wastewater, stormwater, we don't build. We don't build. So that's your answer for economic development. Without those components, we're not going to be sustainable as a city, as a collective city or county, period. And we're in a different parameter for that. Public safety is, agreed. It's like usually on average, any business can be their employee base is 50 to 60%. That's our biggest, capital investment is in our employees. So with that said, I just have one question and bringing it to everyone's radar. I had a meeting with the district secretary about programs and transportation. Because of costs, because of even electronic costs and supply chain costs, I know and I hate to be, parochial, but Hallandale Beach Boulevard, major corridor, it was slated to be redone in 2026. It is pushed back to 2030. 2030, I'm going to say, so anybody that is in a municipality, you need to start looking at what those projects were because of the cost, and we're all, the construction costs and everything. I mean, I haven't gotten to the minutia, but if we're sitting on billions of dollars, economic development, public safety, those roads haven't been restriped or touched in years. So I told him this is a safety issue for us. And, but that is going to be critical. Those major components as municipalities is, and I tell everybody this, even U.S. Conference of Mayors as a trustee, in these unprecedented times, we have to stay in our lane. Our lifeblood, public safety, infrastructure, water, wastewater, stormwater, and yes, housing, but all that above that ties into the success of providing that. So I got off my soapbox, but you should be, anybody that's applying for a grant or an application or appropriation, they should have a white paper for you explaining where the money's coming from if they're just asking one person, because we need to go everywhere to ask for money as cities.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Cooper. Knowing that Representative Cassell and I, we both have Hallandale Beach Boulevard that you're talking about, we would like to further this conversation with you regarding the
I'm not
pushback.
complaining, just explaining. So
Right.
it's to be on
No,
everybody's radar.
It's not a question you complaining. It's an issue. And we would like to talk to you further about it since we won't have time. I'm looking at 4:00 now and I know some of my colleagues are about to choke me. So now let's go to Representative Honchowski who has a question for you. Okay,
Yeah.
but we'll talk later.
Is the delay because of funding? Because we had the same thing with Locks Road, and then we actually went to the county and asked for some of their surtax dollars to help make up some of the difference.
Right. Their pot of monies, I mean, that is a state road. And I literally just
a
found
state
out
road.
about this like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, I literally spent time.
Nobody wants
That's
to
what I'm
spend the
saying. We
money.
have an amazing district secretary here. It's amazing.
Right.
Spent an hour with me. We have some collaborative issues we need to work for.
Mhm.
But that was eye-opening because I even said, now that we are stable, can we do JPAs, at least for the striping safety components of that roadway?
Okay.
So I'd love to work with you guys, but it's kind of like sharing that information
okay.
for my colleagues.
You
as
can
well.
share, you can vent.
Thanks.
That's okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mayor Cooper. Any other questions? No, going once?
We have-
All right. What?
Thank you.
You have okay, Web Bottoman? Quick question.
I just want to, for the city managers, I know there is a bill regarding the safety of.
We
your
can't hear
clerk-
you.
The safety of
Speak
your
up.
clerks and your managers. Can you go into that a little bit about and why it's important for that bill? In terms of a public records exemption for addresses?
Sure. So the public records request, public records exemption certainly would be very beneficial. Obviously, we're, all with public records and the ability for individuals to find addresses and dealing with sensitive issues. I think it would be an important component to have both clerks and for managers to have their property information as well as their family information exempt from public record.
Commissioner Foley. Thank you.
Very quickly, I know you're all tired, but to Senator Osgood's point about the Broward County Water Advisory Board, a lot of what we discuss is countywide. We're talking about drainage issues, but we just recently had a terrific presentation on fluoridation in the water. And I know that there's a Senate and a House bill that's coming before you. So if you would like access to that, we can make sure that that's sent to you because it's really terrific information that was provided to us. Yes, Senator.
Just real quick, so we've been getting inundated
With-
with that. So what I need, what I'm asking for is I'm trying to help you guys understand how Tallahassee work. I have many years' experience at the league. I'm asking you for specific things that's gonna help me serve you better. I meet with all of my mayors in advance. What would be helpful to me is to know the position of the cities that I represent on that fluoride
Mhm.
issue, on other bills, on other issues. That's what
Okay.
is important for me. Then I know, I may agree or disagree, but at least it sparks me to at least have another conversation with you.
We
So
can-
I'm trying to empower it's a lot when you have 30 or 40 ask for money. And then you down to the wire in the wee hours of the morning and they saying, what's your top three?
Right.
So when I don't know, I normally have to say, eeny, meeny, miny, no, just kidding. I say my prayers and
Right.
just say, I need them all, and then it works out. But it is the real live reality of what we live. So
Sure.
that's why I'm asking these things. And I just believe the league used to get together and figure these things out. It may be difficult, but we're at a different time, y'all, and we're gonna have to start thinking very differently
Collaboration.
about the way we work in this county because things are gonna happen beyond our control. But we are Broward, right?
Yes.
So
are
we
the
can do
best.
best.
And to your point, the
We are
city
the
of
best.
Plantation does have a co-appropriation with the city of Lauderhill on a water issue. So
All right.
Thank you.
Y'all
We
need
to
to
do more
talk
of that.
about it. Now, Deputy Manager Rich Barr.
I'll be very brief. Just, first of all, I want to thank each of you. I know that you get a lot of appropriations requests from each of your cities, so we do appreciate all of your support on getting those funded. Just a couple things to point out, and again, not to belabor property taxes, but as you know, this is the first year with the voter approved ballot measure on the additional CPI increase on the second $25,000 homestead exemption. We are now going to start seeing the impacts of that. I certainly would,
Good.
understanding the importance of that, I certainly would hope that the state legislature is aware that this is the first year that we're going to be experiencing that. And it would be nice to see if we can, what our impact to the cities are going to be, because this will have an impact to us. So in addition to what they're proposing, we already have something new this year. So I think it's important that we at least see the impact of that before anything new was added. And I also wanted to address insurance. That's an issue that, oh, I know,
It's
but
okay, we all-
still here.
It's
But
okay.
in regards
Some
to
of us
property
are in
insurance
as
and the
well.
impact of property insurance
in it
has
too.
on our residents, and that was all I just wanted to mention. So thank you again for this opportunity. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you
Chair.
so much. Thank you so much for your contribution and thank you for all that you do as well. I appreciate you. Hollywood is blessed and West Park. You blessed too. Yeah. All right. We have one last question.
Super quick.
You have one?
But sir, with what Senator Osgood was saying about, giving us white papers or whatever, that would be as this rolls out with the fiscal year and how this affects the 31 cities with what just passed, what you're talking about. That would be a great document to have in a year's time as we move forward. Maybe the BLC could, and the managers could coordinate that. So we have a white paper on this is how this budgetarily affected us. Yeah. And I think Senator Osgood, that's your point with everything, right? To get these documents. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Rob. I have two announcements before I go to Mayor Brunson now, because I don't want everybody to leave. Then we don't talk about that. As you know, next week, March the 4th, we will convene for session in Tallahassee. Some of us are leaving this week. Some of us are leaving next week. So know that during session time, you have to try to connect with us. Sometimes you might get us, sometimes you might not, because we have committees and we have sessions as well. But it's next week. We convene on March 4th, 2025. And I know some of you are going to Tallahassee, so we look forward to seeing you and meeting with you. As well, We have Broward Days coming up. It's scheduled for March the 18th to the March 19th. So it's 2 days. And we know a lot of you and love coming to Tallahassee. So we look forward to seeing you and also to talk about all those priorities that you have to talk about them a little bit more. So thank you so much. We really appreciate every single one of you, and we thank you for the work that you are doing on behalf of the Broward County residents. We know this year is not going to be easy, as you can tell. You have seen everything that's been going on in Tallahassee and also Broward County and in the country as well. But guess what? We will continue to work together for the betterment of our residents. Madam Mayor, it's all yours.
To say thank you. Thank you all for taking the time. I know that this has been a long day for you, but we appreciate your collaborative effort. We appreciate you listening. We appreciate your time. And most importantly, we appreciate everything that you do. And we look forward to continuing to work with you to see these different rules or whatever that's happening up there in Tallahassee. We look forward to working with you to come up with something understandable for all of our cities. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you to everyone. Have a great evening, and we'll see you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Wait, before you guys go, we can take a group picture. It'll take